a builder, go to Speedrun Ethereum to learn how to build on Ethereum. This will help you with your first 5 apps, and we're going to speedrun the speedrun today. I've written a bunch of code. This will probably be a little less code writing and more just like going through the tutorials and talking about some of the aha moments you have along the way. Just to like zoom all the way out, we are the Build Guild. We are focused on developer education and tooling. Our main tool of choice is Scaffold-ETH, and we use that to build a bunch of things. But that is also the heart of Speedrun Ethereum, which is our curriculum. And we're going around the world teaching people how to build on Ethereum, and anybody can just go to Speedrun Ethereum and get started today. And we're going to kind of just speedrun the speedrun today. I'm going to go through the challenges and just kind of talk through the aha moments you'll have, but hopefully you can go home and speedrun Ethereum on your own time and really kind of go through this at your own pace. But I'm going to go through it quickly just to kind of cover like, oh, here's the stuff to look out for, basically. Let's do just real quick, if you guys could give me a show of hands. How many of you have deployed a contract on mainnet before? Oh, yeah, we got 5 or 6 mainnet deploys. All right, how many of you have deployed on an L2? Actually less, I think, right? Less people? Okay, we're going to change that today for sure. We got to get you ready for that. Scaffold-ETH, I deployed one to base earlier, and someone attacked it, stole my money. It was pretty fun. Okay, how many of you are software developers? Okay, look at those. I would say that was almost all the hands. Oh, I just got goosebumps. I'm excited. Okay, this is awesome. So I'm going to just do this speed run, probably 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to speed run the speed run, and then I'm going to hand it off to Etta, and she's going to do, I think, like an NFT build, right? Cool, awesome. Okay, so just in case you've missed me shilling Scaffold-ETH, I've been shilling it all week, but it's a really great tool for prototyping, but also deploying to production. It's really nice because you can make small changes to your smart contract, and those changes are sort of represented live in your front end. So you add like a new variable, and boom, it shows up in your front end. And then say you set up a require statement that says only the owner can get into this function, and then to go test that, instead of writing, and eventually you will write lots of tests, but instead of writing all of those tests up front, what you can do is just create a burner wallet and try it as the good guy and make sure it works, and then try it as the bad guy and make sure it doesn't work. Scaffold-ETH gives you that opportunity to try it, and it lets you tinker and test your assumptions. Okay, but today we're using Scaffold-ETH within Speedrun Ethereum. And let's just look, we're just gonna look at each one of these quests and go through these. Then I'll hand it off to Etta, then we'll do a Q&A. Maybe we'll do a quick set of questions before, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do like 20 minutes, then we'll do 5 minutes of questions, then Etta will take over. Then there's like this Q&A thing where they put up a QR code and you shoot it and ask like anonymous questions or something, but we might get to that too at the end. Okay, so building on Ethereum, here we go. The very first tutorial kind of points out that you probably need to have some solidity already. If you don't, if you're a coder, I saw all of those hands. There's a lot of coders in this room. It's basically everybody. If you're a coder, you can go to Solidity by example, or just go to the Solidity docs, and you're going to pick up the language pretty quickly. You're going to pick up the primitive data types, you're going to pick up the mappings and arrays, but just like go through this and kind of learn these concepts. For instance, Etherverse Way is a thing that we'll talk about today. There's a few other just kind of like aha moments you have, but you gotta first get the syntax. And so you can get the syntax from the docs, or you can get it from Solidity by example, or you can just prompt Cursor to write it for you too. Okay, so that's the basics. Also, there's a Web 2 to Web 3 series that can help you get your wallet ready and do some of those, first beginner actions. You know what? How many people have deployed to a test network? So the mainnet was 2, okay. Yeah, that's like 50, 60% of people have deployed to a test network. That's really great. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm probably going to double speed run the speed run. And I don't want to like bore you guys too much, and we can really get to the heart of building something with Etta. And then after this, let me make sure I shill this. the live stream will actually shut off, and we're going to do a capture the flag. And knowing that there are so many good devs in here already, I would recommend sticking around. It's going to start at 2:30, and it's going to go till 5:30. There's going to be these 12 flags in this NFT contract that you'll mint. We're going to give away $1,000 in ETH to the winner, $500 second place, $250 to third, something like that. I think the prizes are here. Yeah, there we go. But we're also going to give out, we have fully synced Ethereum nodes. We have this thing called the BuidlGuidl client, where you can run an Ethereum node with a single line, and then we've been syncing nodes ourselves, and we bring them to these events. So the winner will win a fully synced Reth and Lighthouse node. Not a staker, like it doesn't have 32 ETH sitting on it, but it is a node that you can like run an indexer against or something like that. Also, if you are interested in running one of these nodes, we're looking for more node runners, specifically in South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. We only have a few of them here, and we're trying to get these numbers up. So come talk to me after if you might be interested in running one of those. You might just get a free node that we send you. We don't have that many, but we have a few that we synced and we brought. We'd love to get some more participants. But that's for the CTF. That starts in a couple of hours, about an hour and 10 minutes. But first, let's speedrun the speedrun at Speedrun Speeds. So the very first challenge that you'll take on with Scaffold-ETH is just a simple NFT contract. You don't even have to write any code. It's more about just getting your environment calibrated. You'll clone down this repo, you'll CD in, you'll check out that first branch. I'm going to bring this up because I want to start looking at this stuff in Git. I want to have that up. But this one's super simple, and it kind of goes through some of the basic concepts that you get from Scaffold-ETH. For instance, burner wallets. You've probably heard me talking about burner wallets if you've been to any other session, but they're really great for local development. If you're building something locally and you need to make a bunch of transactions, it's way easier if you have a local burner wallet, and just every time you hit a button, it just makes a transaction, and you don't have to like have the pop-up and have the chain ID set with MetaMask and all that stuff. So burner wallets are another one of our little secret superpowers built into Scaffold-ETH. And it has you, go to the faucet, load up your burner wallet, and then I think it has you even like send it around, right? In Scaffold-ETH, you can open up multiple windows. And since that burner wallet has a private key and local storage, you can open up an incognito window, and it's like a whole new account. So if you ever need like a bad guy to try to see if he can, do something in the only owner block of your code, you just bring up a burner wallet, fund it, and then go try it. And then you go to your good guy and have him run and make sure it works for the good guy, fails for the bad guy, right? That's how burner wallets are really handy built into Scaffold-ETH. So I think what you do is you get in here, you go to the faucet, and you get some ETH, and then you go ahead and mint these silly little animals. And then it has you send them around. So you'll create another account, and you'll send one of the NFTs to the other one. And you just kind of, it's really nice. It's like this, it's like a Goosebumps moment when you like hit send and it disappears over here and then a little buffalo pops up over on the other one. It's a lot of fun. And then it'll have you deploy it to, I think, Sepolia or maybe even base Sepolia, Optimism Sepolia, something like that. Yep, looks like Sepolia there, yep. And I think there's even a second test net on this, so you don't have to use Sepolia. I think we have a second, I think it's base Sepolia, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And there's some side quests here, but that's the first challenge. And then what you'll do is you'll hit Submit Challenge. You'll put in your site. So you're going to deploy a live site that lets people mint NFTs on Sepolia, and you can run through this pretty quickly. Like a good builder could run through this first tutorial in like 20 minutes probably. So if you're a decent builder, you can probably dive in and actually like put an app out live within an hour. So you'll put the app URL there, and then you'll put your smart contract URL there, and we have an auto grader. So the auto grader, it goes and I think it downloads your contract and runs it, or maybe it goes and talks to your contract on Sepolia and makes sure everything works correctly. So each one of these challenges are auto graded with like a testing system, so you can kind of like level up as you go through each challenge. Not really a whole lot of aha moments here. It's more like we're building up the base knowledge, right? So let's go to the next challenge, and that would be nope. Go to challenge 1. And yesterday I went through and built this one fully during a video. You could go look back at that one from yesterday. I think it was maybe called the same thing as this. But yeah, if you go to the DevCon schedule, search Austin, it's going to be like the second video there, and I go through the staking app. But let's speed run through it right now, just kind of looking at it. So I think this is probably the most important challenge. I would say the DEX is the most important challenge, but this is the real like heart of it. This is the beginning of like figuring out what kinds of things you want to build on chain and what kind of things like belong on chain. And I think a real aha moment, you know, you are deploying these apps that live forever. They have nation state level hardness, credible neutrality, but it really starts to make sense to me when I think of an adversarial group of players trying to coordinate. They want to coordinate. Maybe in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to get everyone to pitch in like 0.1 ETH, and if we get enough ETH put together, then we'll be able to go do this second action, like go buy this thing or invest in something, right? And what you need to do is build the smart contract in a way that they can't grief each other, they can't steal each other's money, but if they do choose to coordinate, they can coordinate. And I think that's a really powerful mechanism. And so you'll write this staker.sol, and you'll build a stake function, and you'll allow people to stake money into your contract, and you'll need to keep track of each person's balance, because if they don't end up coordinating correctly, then you'll have to refund everybody, and you need to allow everybody to be able to withdraw from the smart contract. So that's kind of like starting to sink in, like what kinds of things you might be putting on chain. This is kind of like a coordination mechanism with people that don't totally trust each other. It's slightly financial, but doesn't have to be. But you have to write all these rules. And I think one of the first aha moments for me is that none of this is automatic. When you think of blockchain or DAOs and autonomous agents, you just kind of think that there's like this magic thing that is handling a whole bunch of things in the background. And it certainly is a magic technology. But to make something happen on chain, someone has to make the transaction happen. And it's not like the smart contract is working in the background and doing things, right? The smart contract does what it's supposed to do, but someone's got to make a transaction against the smart contract to get the thing to work. So in this particular build, you're kind of building a state machine. If we want to imagine a state of, so there's this open period, right? And there's, at this point, anyone can stake. Anyone in the world can stake in this open period. And then at some threshold, at some time, maybe timeout, I don't know, what do we call it here? Let me make sure, deadline. So at some deadline, you need basically the contract to be ready to go into the next state. So you sort of have this open staking period, and then at the deadline, you set up an execute function that checks to make sure that the deadline has passed and that no one else has run execute yet. And then in that execute function, we need to check and see, did we get enough money in the contract? So there's an open period, people are YOLOing in money, we have some threshold that we need to get to, and some deadline of time that we need to hit. And once that deadline of time is hit, someone's got to poke the thing, and if they hit the button, or they make the transaction, and there's enough money in the contract, we move into kind of what we'll call the happy state, where the money actually gets invested wherever we want it to go. In this case, there's just like an example contract, and it moves the money into the example contract and calls a function on it. But that contract could be anything. You're kind of just imagining that that is something more advanced. Maybe you're buying an NFT or something more fancy. But so you're open state, you hit the threshold, or you hit the deadline, you check to see if the money is above the threshold, and if it is, then you're in the happy state, you move that money into the contract and you trigger the next thing. But if you didn't get enough money together, then you need to kind of go into maybe the sad state or the withdraw state. Some people have already YOLO'd money in and you didn't get to the threshold, so you need to, basically you have this open for withdraw. And the open for withdraw is kind of another mode, and that means anybody who has put money in, and now that we didn't get to the threshold, and now it's withdraw time, now they can get in and withdraw their money back, basically. And that's kind of how these apps work, right? They need to kind of think of it like a state machine. You need to make it so we're not sending the money back to everybody. They have to get in and withdraw it, right? Because there's gas involved with that, and we're not going to run that system. So That's kind of the best like quick first build in Ethereum. Like this will be, I guess if we call the NFT app your first build, this will be your second build. And this build is really going to start illuminating the kinds of things that you want to put on chain. I think you end up putting it out on, Sepolia, and you basically deploy a staking app and you learn along the way. So the next challenge is the token vendor. This will be your third app. And the token vendor really leans into ERC20 tokens. If you have ever minted an ERC20 token, you know that there's this transfer function, but there's also this approve function. And when you want to actually send a token into a smart contract, you don't just send it and it does stuff. You actually do this really weird thing where you go to the token contract and you approve the smart contract to take the money. And then you make a second transaction on the smart contract that says, hey, I've approved you to take my money, please do so, and then do some other things. And so it's kind of a complicated thing to get your mind around at first, but that's what you'll do here. You'll deploy your own meme coin, basically, and then you'll make a vending machine smart contract that lets people buy that token at some exchange rate. You'll say maybe 100 tokens per ETH, and then they get in and YOLO some ETH, and then you send them some tokens. It sounds simple, but it's actually pretty tricky if you think about the different transactions that have to happen there and how these different smart contracts are interacting with each other. Let me see, I think the approve pattern is a big one here. Contract-to-contract interaction is a big one here. Just this idea that like, I think it says it right here. Like smart contracts are kind of like always on vending machines that anyone can access. I think that's just like a really cool way to think about it. It's like a vending machine in the sky that anybody can get to. That's pretty cool. And not even like nation states can censor it. That's really powerful. Okay, so those are your first 3 builds. Your fourth build is going to get a little gambly. It's going to be a dice game. And so the dice game really shows you how randomness on a public deterministic blockchain is kind of tricky. You can't really get randomness in the way that you might think of when you just go to like, hey, JavaScript, give me a random number, right? You can't get that from the EVM. It doesn't do that. But what you can do, and this is not a good idea, you can use the previous block hash. So there's a lot of entropy in the block hash because it has to do with like proof of work mining, and now it's validating and different. But it's basically a random string of hex characters. And so you can use that previous block hash for a very insecure form of randomness. And there's really cool ways to do randomness on chain with oracles and other ways that even like, we have this really cool way where you submit a previous header and it uses the block difficulty, which is now randao. So there are like very good ways to do randomness. This is not one of them. This is a bad way to do randomness. Basically the way it works here is you're going to put in like 0.1 ETH, and it's going to roll the dice, basically just looking back at the previous block hash and doing a mod of that, like mod 6, and it's like a 1 die roll, right? But if you win, you'll win like 6x back. If you lose, your money stays in the contract. And you can play the app, and you could probably load it up with some ETH, and it would play for a long time, but this thing is attackable. You can attack this by creating a second attack contract. I think it's called rigged roll is what we called it. Yeah, you build a rigged contract. And the way this works is the smart contract knows about the other smart contract and knows how it's deciding. It knows, okay, if we're on block 8, we know that this guy's going to be looking at block 7 and doing a mod 6 on it or something like that. So you basically recreate that math in your rigged contract, and then when you go to roll, you basically only roll if it's a winner. And so you can basically drain the dice contract with this rigged contract, and that'll be your third or fourth build. That'll be your third build? Where are we at here? That'll be your fourth build. All right. Let me see if there's any other little aha moments in here that I want to talk about. A really fun game, though. You get to roll this die, like you got all these cool, this Scaffold-ETH makes it look cool. And the BuidlGuidl team has done a really good job designing this, making it look nice and making it flow really smoothly. Some side quests in there. It looks like you end up deploying it, contract verification. Looks good. Go do this at home. You'll learn a lot. All right, the fifth app, and I think the most important, and then I can hand it off here in a little bit, is a DEX. And a DEX is a way to swap. It's a decentralized exchange. It's a way to swap between some token and ETH, or maybe token to token. But the way this worked before was like an order book system. If you wanted to swap with someone would sign a message that they would be the maker, and then they would be looking for a taker, right? And the maker would say something like, I have 5 of these tokens, and I would like 1 ETH, and I've signed a message. And that goes into an order book, and then someone else could take that message and submit it on chain and send their tokens in and get the ETH back, right? So you could swap, but there's like this centralized order book there, and that order book can go down, that order book could get regulated. There's a lot of reasons why the centralization sort of falls apart. You have this really awesome decentralized blockchain, and then you're running this centralized service on top of it. So the DEX brings this all on chain. It makes it fully decentralized. And really the trick here is to have reserves of both loaded up in the contract. So what you do is you'll put in a whole bunch of tokens and a whole bunch of ETH at the ratio of whatever those tokens are worth. And then when people want to swap, they'll swap much smaller amounts between the two. And there's a really nice kind of like drawing in here. You'll see the constant product stuff. This thing right here. So I'm going to put in token A and get back token B, right? And that curve is the price curve. And with each trade, the sort of dot moves up and down that curve. And there's a really nice visual curve here. It actually like plots this for you. Let me see if I can find it. Where is that thing? Yeah, well, here it is, but it's not there. Oh, wait, is that a video? No, that would be cool. You'll see this curve, and you'll see it move up and down. And as you swap, if I put in a whole bunch of tokens, it's going to run down the line. And if I put in a whole bunch of ETH, it's going to go up the curve. And the price is wherever that dot is. And the amount of slippage is how far that kind of triangle comes out. You kind of have to dink around with it, but once you start dinking around with it in Scaffold-ETH, it's like it becomes pretty obvious how this works. So your 5th app, the most important app, is this DEX. And what you do is you build a smart contract, and you have to write the code. You have to figure out how to set up the swap and how to make it figure out, based on the reserves, what the price is. And you have to really write the code and learn. And you'll have to get in here and do this. It takes a little bit of time. By the way, this DEX doesn't have slippage protection. Don't deploy this on mainnet or something. This is like a play DEX. You need to build more things into it to make it secure to put online. On chain, but it's good enough for you to learn. Here's how you calculate the price, right? There's this constant product where you figure out the token to ETH mixture. And then there's the token to ETH on the way in and then the token to ETH on the way out, and they have to basically be equal. Okay, so there's the swap, right? You can go from token to ETH or ETH to token, but there's also a couple more functions on your DEX, and they're around putting these reserves in. You need to basically load it up with tokens and load it up with ETH, and when you do that, you get minted another token that represents your claim on the reserves that you're storing in that contract. And this is a really important concept, because what's going to happen here is that the reserves are going to earn you money. If you own ETH in that contract, you have that token that represents that money. As people swap, like 0.03 or something like that of that token gets left behind each time. So actually, if you look at a DEX with reserves in it, if someone swaps back and forth a bunch of times, the DEX sort of slowly gains value. It actually earns fees. So for you as the liquidity provider, you're earning fees, and this is what's called expansive in the term of hyperstructures. So I want to hit you up with this one. Go look up a hyperstructure and spend some time reading this paper, because it's really inspiring and it helps kind of lean you toward building on chain and thinking about how you put things on chain and what kinds of things can be successful on chain. It needs to be unstoppable, free, valuable, expansive. That's what I was talking about the LPs. Why would someone want to lock up all this money? Like, the more reserves you have, the better the swap is. But what's my incentive for doing so, right? You have to incentivize folks. It's permissionless, it's positive sum, it's credibly neutral. Check out a hyperstructure. So yes, you will create the smart contract. You'll be able to do ETH to tokens, tokens to ETH. You'll be able to put liquidity in. You'll kind of like learn all these intricate details. There's the curve right there. I knew it was here somewhere. And you'll end up shipping this to a test net. And you can just get in there and swap. You can get in there and put liquidity in, pull liquidity out. It's really like a little sandbox DEX that's, you know, the starter kit for building something like Uniswap. Okay, so those are your first 5 apps. You want to go speedrun these. We are always in the Telegram channels. There's a Telegram channel for each one. We're in there answering questions, so if you have questions, we're there. And we can, help you speedrun those if you have any questions. I think the last few challenges, let's just go look at those real quick, just so I can highlight those. You get to join the Build Guild once you complete the DEX, and that's basically, we have like onboarding batches, we do a small grants program, we basically prepare you to go ship something in the space. State channel application, looking at signatures, looking at L2s, looking at off-chain interactions. A multi-sig wallet would be having multiple signers that could all transact, or you need maybe like 2 out of 3 signers to be able to make a transaction happen. So this is really nice if you need like something more secure. A lot of good developers in the room. I've seen that if you're holding ETH in large amounts, you want to have it in a multi-sig, right? You don't want to have it in an app or a hot wallet. You want to have it in a smart contract that has rules based on, you know, if you want to move money out of this smart contract, I'm going to need a signature from your phone, and I'm going to need a signature from your laptop, and I'm going to need like a signature from your hardware wallet, right? You have to get all of those together, or maybe 2 out of 3 of those together to make the transaction happen, and that's just much safer. It keeps the money safer locked up in the smart contract wallet in the multi-sig. And then the last one is a fun little just like SVG NFT. We started out with that first NFT, and you'll get in here and you'll learn about IPFS, and you'll realize that like the thing gets deployed to IPFS, and the only thing that goes on chain ends up being the link to the IPFS. So the thing that's on chain is more like a little JSON file that tells you where the stuff is. You're not actually putting the image on chain. So in this last challenge, we actually have you make an NFT where the actual SVG NFT is rendered from the smart contract, which is probably more nerdy than anything, but it's just cool to do, and it'll be a good lesson to learn. So that was like a bonus. Basically, your first 5 apps go up to the DEX, and the rest of these are kind of bonus challenges, but I would recommend you take time to go through them when you have some free time at home, or maybe just some free time around here. But you'll have to sit down and focus and actually write code. There's a lot of moments where you have to think for yourself. It'll say, hey, you need to make this thing happen, but there's not going to be code that you can copy paste. You'll have to write the code yourself. It gives you lots of help, but in the moment of figuring it out, like you have to figure it out yourself, and it's going to help you learn. Like that's the way to learn this. Okay, so that's Speedrun Ethereum. I'm Austin Griffith. We're the Build Guild. We are going to do the CTF after this, but I think Edda is going to come up and do some NFTs next. You going to do an NFT app? Awesome. Okay, and I don't want to close my laptop, but I'm good to go when you guys are good. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I should have done a question session, but we'll do a question session after this. We'll double the questions down.
Okay, is my microphone working? Okay, perfect.
Hey, Jen, how are you?
Okay, so hi guys. Now we're going to do some NFT apps, which Austin talked about using Scaffold-ETH. And it's going to be a quick session, so I have 30 minutes and 45 seconds. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Scaffold-ETH, and it's similar to the first challenge of the Speedrun Ethereum, where you build an NFT application. And I'm just going to try to walk through each step on how we can do it, how we can deploy the contract, set up our new contracts, and kind of showcase how it works. So hopefully it will be a nice preparation for the Capture the Flag challenge this afternoon. And yes, let's directly get started because we don't have a lot of time. So all I did, and I want to show you what I did. Now all I did was I went to Scaffold-ETH and I just downloaded it so then we can save on time and make sure there's no error. You're welcome to follow along if you have your laptops open. And yeah, I took npx create ETH latest, and I created my own Scaffold-ETH application. I did nothing else. All the other steps we'll be going through together. OK, so where's my terminal? Cool. So I named it NFT Workshop. You can see over here I have the project. Let's kind of start our chain. I also didn't deploy the contracts, actually. So let's deploy what we have just to see what's going on in our app. And then I'm going to do a yarn start. And I kind of went fast, but I basically have 3 terminals over here, one running my local chain. I chose Foundry when I set up the Scaffold-ETH application, but you're welcome to choose Hardhat if that's your preferred development environment. And then I deployed the first contract we have. This is like a basic smart contract. It's a Hello World smart contract, which we'll just look into very shortly. And then I did a yarn start to start my application. And let's open where I have too many browsers here. So I'm going to do like this. I'm going to open my local host here. I actually want like an incognito window. OK. OK, cool. So this is what you get. With all the Speedrun Ethereum challenges, you use the same toolkit. So once you kind of go through the first one, I think it makes you familiar. So the rest will come more easier. And what I have over here is this is like a sample front end to get started with. And then debug contracts tab, which makes it really easy, which Austin was talking about as well. You can kind of have, this is the initial contract, which we just deployed. It's a greeting contract. You can see the details, like the address, the owner. All the functions available are displayed here. And what we're going to do is I want to add a new contract to our application, because you probably want to have more than one contract. So this is like a basic contract, but what Scaffold-ETH makes you do is you can also have multiple contracts in your same app. So this way you can kind of work through them, like have them send each other messages or kind of link to each other. And that's what I'm going to showcase today. It's going to be an basic NFT contract, and we're also going to be building a small front end, as much as my front end skills allow. Now, I have it ready too, so no worries. I think it will work. OK, so what I did, and just to show you my app as well, this is what we just downloaded. I had it opened, and I have the Foundry folder, but if you choose Hardhat, when you do the wizard which starts your application, you will see it as Hardhat. And I will basically have over here this is the your contract, which we just saw. And is this good enough? Shall I zoom? It's good? OK. OK, perfect. So this is the your contract, which comes as the basic. You can see the details here. And I'm going to add a new contract, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And one other thing. So I'm talking about what I'm doing, but the docs are pretty clear and show you all the step by step. So any questions you have about Scaffold-ETH, you can basically come to the docs. What I basically just did before, just now as well, was to set it up using the create ETH latest, and then it tells you all the details. It tells you the details about the extensions as well. So you can definitely go default to the docs if you have any questions. They should definitely have your answer, and I'll be going to the docs a lot during this presentation. OK, cool. So let's get started. Now, as I said, I want to have a new NFT contract. And I'm going to go to Foundry, because I chose Foundry. And I'll basically be using the Soulmate. I'm going to create an NFT with Soulmate. I'm at the Foundry docs. And they have, where is this exactly? OK, they have the tutorials here. So I'm just going to copy and follow the tutorial to add the NFT contract. And then that'll basically be in my application too. And I come over here. So because we're using Foundry, I do need to install Soulmates. And I think we have the Open Zeppelin contracts, but let's make sure to install what it requires to create this NFT contract. OK, cool. So I'm back to my terminal. Let's just close this for a bit. I'm actually not sure. I need to go to the Foundry folder to install the dependencies. Oh, but yeah, it doesn't allow, so I'll just do a no commit. So this should be fine. Oh, and I actually didn't mention that, and I probably should have mentioned it before I started too. But you can totally follow along what I'm doing in GitHub. I have over here a repo to explain what we're going to be doing now. So you can totally follow this along as well if you want to. I think it's fine. We'll go through the steps, but I'll provide this link. But yeah, devcon24/CLS. So it has the steps which I'm going to be running through today. OK, so I'm installing the dependencies I need. OK, this was pretty fast. And I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do a yarn chain just so that we have this running. All I did was I went and installed the Foundry dependencies. I'm just kind of following this tutorial over here, and I want this contract. So this is like a basic NFT smart contract. It has like a name, a symbol, and then the mint2 and token URI functions here. And all I'm doing is I'm going to take it and put it in my Scaffold-ETH application. So to do that, now we have over here the your contract. I'm going to create like a new file here. Let's call this NFT contract. OK. And I just copy-pasted the code we directly took. Because we installed the dependencies, we should be fine. So now all I did was I added like a new NFT smart contract to our same application. But this will not automatically deploy. I also need to edit my deployment scripts, because when you do a yarn deploy, it only deploys the your contract by default, which is this one over here. So whenever you add a new contract, you need to update your deployment scripts. Or like, let's say, like you change the your contract constructor, then you need to add that to the deployment script details, so then it deploys all together. And where did we add that? OK, I think it's scripts. OK, so this is the deploy your contract. This is the initial script, which deploys the your contract smart contract. I'm basically going to copy this and create the same one for my NFT smart contract. Command copy, Command V. I'll call this deploy. OK, I didn't do anything. I just copied it. I'm going to change the your details to NFT. NFT contract, deploy. It's also so cold in here. OK, I think this is fine. Now, this is actually not enough. You also need to add it to the deploy script. So I created like a new deployment script for my NFT contract, but I also needed to add it to this main deployer script. And you can actually also add it here, but this makes it just a bit easier, so then you can like add, change things without like messing the structure a lot. So this is like my new script, which we just created from zero, called NFT contract.deploy NFT contract.s.sol. And I'm going to add this to the main deployer, so then it also actually deploys. Because by default, when I run like yarn deploy, it only this is the folder which gets run. And thank you to devs who added the notes here. And I will copy this. And I will do a deploy NFT contract. OK, I think I need to also import this, but my Copilot should actually have told me this, but OK. So for some reason, Copilot was slow, but we got it. So I think this should basically deploy our new NFT contract, and let's kind of see if that works. And if not, we'll figure it out. But I think it should work. So by the way, like when you deploy, I generally do a yarn deploy reset to make sure that nothing gets saved. Oh, OK, I remember. So I think there's an issue with the Foundry, like the Solidity version from our NFT contract. This is like quite old, so I think if I do this 20, this should work. This is an error of Visual Studio. I don't know why this keeps giving me like import errors, but I think this should work. Like it was 8.10, but that's pretty outdated, so I think this should work now. OK, so this is fine. I think this is like or I can just call the other one NFT. I'll actually call this one. So this was called NFT, but I think it should be called NFT contract. I think this is better since we named our file NFT contract. It's always hard to do online demos, but I didn't edit the constructor. So our constructor is probably empty, so that's why it's giving an error. Okay, oh no, it's not empty. I need to give it a name and a symbol. So because I just copy-pasted, I should have actually checked where what the constructor takes. And in my deployment script, I didn't add any of the constructors. So over here, all I need to do is I need to add my constructors. So I'll just call my token, whatever name, and then I'll give it a symbol, right? Is it name symbol or symbol name? Name and symbol. And the name will be like Edda's. I don't know if this creates like legal problems, but Edda, because my name is Edda. OK, cool. Hopefully this should work now, right? Let's make sure that we don't have any errors. This is that line. This is here. We give the arguments here. I don't think there's any more issues, to be honest. Do I have it wrong here? OK, 1 second. I'm going to like just cheat over here. I think we should add it here, though. OK, cool. So I added my constructor arguments at the wrong place. But basically, the issue was I need to give my, when I run the contract, because my constructor takes 2 arguments, the name and the symbol, I wasn't doing that correctly. So now we basically deployed like a new contract, and let's look at it on our application, which I think is the cool part. So as I didn't edit any front end. All we were doing was we added a new smart contract. It was a bit stressful, but we managed. So we have like a new deployment script, and we have a new smart contract. And then over here, it directly comes on our front end. So as you can see, now there's like 2 contracts, the your contract and the NFT contract. And I kind of can play around with this without making any other changes. So this, yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Like when I was like first starting and I wanted to add like multiple contracts, I found it quite hard. Like you need to like manage the dependencies, like all the new libraries and stuff like that. But by this, like you can just add like a new smart contract. You don't need to like, you can of course like write the tests and everything, but it automatically appears on your front end before doing anything else. And let's see how this works. So I directly click this button, but what this does is it gives me some funds from the faucets. If I hadn't clicked it, it would have given me like a gas error. It would say like you have no money to pay for gas. So I directly clicked it. But let me show you what happens if you don't click it too. Oh, this one. I'll go to like my browser over here. It's burner wallets, so it generates on new browsers. So this one has like 0 ETH right now. So I can go to the debug contracts tab. I can go to NFTs. Like let's say I want to like mint 2, and I give this my address. Let's give this address. And then the value, like I don't want to give any money right now. I send, but it gives me gas error. So that's why I had automatically clicked that burn, like the faucets. Yeah, grab funds from the faucets button. Hopefully now it grabs funds. It's all from my Anvil local chain, so we're just on localhost right now. Cool. So as you can see, I minted an NFT to this address, and I can send it to like this address, the green, purple, the orange one as well. And this is kind of how it works. And let's do this again on this person. I'm not going to send any money to it, but you can. Perfect. So it's pretty easy to like add a new contract, and when you go through the challenges, you'll either like modify the existing smart contracts, or you'll be adding like new smart contracts. And this is kind of like how you can work with Foundry and add like new dependencies and then create your new contract. And what I want to do is, so we have this like this web page, but let's say you built like an NFT app. Like you don't want to show this web page to your users. You want to have like something better. That's why we kind of have the initial page to get you started as well. So I have like 15 minutes and 6 seconds left. So I'll try and like build a small front end where you can automatically mint NFTs from that page instead of sending this page to your users and being like, hey, like go to debug contracts tab and then mint from there. Okay, time goes by much faster when you're in a rush, I guess. Cool. So yeah, the error is the dependency error. I think like Visual Studio Code or like my extension gives it an error, but it's actually like we have the contracts in the lib folder. I don't know why I had the problem earlier. So what I'm going to do is now I'm done with the Foundry folder. We have our smart contracts. Everything's working. If I want to add more, I will add more. Actually, we will be adding more because it doesn't have it doesn't set a maximum supply. The default just like you don't set a maximum supply in the NFT contract. So I kind of want to do that if we have time. So what I'm going to do is I go to the Next.js, the app, and then I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'll call it NFT. And then I'm just going to copy this page.tsx, but this is, and then I'm just going to paste it here. Or I'll just like remove everything from here. What I'm doing is I want to create a new page, which we can go to like localhost/NFT, and this is kind of the way Next.js arranged it, and I just want to create that. Let's just call this NFT. I think this should be fine. Okay, so I'll be editing all this, but let's make sure that it works. Cool. So what we did was right now you only have the home and debugs contract. I create like a new folder in my Next.js app, and then it goes to like by default the NFT extension because that was the name of my folder. And I have a page.jsx there which displays this. But I don't want to display this. So let's just delete this and let's just show hello. And let's actually like remove the secondary background because that's not nice. Cool. So, OK, so we kind of have an initial app. We have like an initial web page. Now, what I want to do is I want to pull the NFT contract information here. So then it gives you a button to just like, you see the NFT, you click it, and you mint it. And for that, I'm going to go to Daisy UI. Scaffold-ETH uses Daisy UI, so you don't need to like work a lot on your front ends. Like I don't build many front ends, so this makes it very easier to just like go and get the components and have them be displayed on your app. And I'm going to go over here to the components, and you can directly use any one of this. I'm going to use the card component. The card is somewhere here. Oops. I just take the card. So this is what it gives me. Let me just copy paste this. You can use any components. Like it has different like headers and bubbles, countdowns, stuff like that. It makes it really easier. Like I highly suggest it. If you have any other framework you use, that's obviously fine. But I'm just going to go and paste this here. So this is the shoes card. I'm going to go to the NFT tab. Cool. So all I did was let's open it here, actually. All I did was I went ahead and I got this shoes card component. And what I wanted to do is I don't want like a Nike advertisement, but instead I want to have my NFT details there. And then it will show like NFT, and then this button will be mint now. And then let's actually like center that too. OK, so the image we should change, and then NFT, mint here. This is not a funny joke. And then you do a mint here. I think I can do items center. Flex. OK, I didn't manage this, but OK, for now this is fine. Let's just make it working, and then we can like do all the other details. I'll also remove this Nike picture because it's kind of Okay, cool. So NFT mint here, and then the mint button should be our NFTs. And what we want is we actually should see the NFT details, right? Like what's the token name, how many NFTs are left, etc. So I do really want to see that information. And to do that, I need to read from my smart contract. So I'm going to go over back here to the Scaffold-ETH docs to show kind of how you do that. But Scaffold-ETH has built-in hooks, so you can directly use the hooks, which kind of allow you to interact with your smart contracts. By the way, I mentioned like it directly uses WAGMI and WAGMI hooks, so it's kind of easier to use the Scaffold-ETH hooks when you kind of work with it. And Daisy UI details you can kind of find over here as well. But I'm going to go over here. This gives you a shortcut, like recipes gives you a shortcut too, but I'm just going to show the read contracts hook. So I'm just going to copy this. What this does is it allows, like it directly provides a hook for me to read my smart contract data. And then I'm going to add it here, and then I'm going to just change it. It's going to tell me I need to import it. Let's just do that. And then it's going to be my NFT contract. And then I don't remember what we had on our NFT contract, but over here, let's get the current token ID. Let's just show that for now. There is no arguments. I think I can just delete this. And then I do the token. I also want to get my address. Let's show like the connected address. And I like everything is on the docs over here. So it makes it very easier to like get your connected address. As you can see, we directly use WAGMI, like use account from WAGMI. But I also want to show the address when we go to our NFT page. And I'm going to do this address. This is going to import from WAGMI. And then let's add it here. Let's add like a H1. I probably need to wrap the token ID to an integer or something like that, but let's see. Oh, okay, I need to do, it's a client side. Because I'm using client components on my Next.js app, I do need that. Okay, so cool. It shows me my connected address, but instead of like showing it like that, I want to use directly the Scaffold-ETH address component. It just makes it look better. Like as you saw, doesn't look really nice. You probably don't want to have this. So I think there's directly an address or account. Is this like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna delete this. It will give me like a blocky and an avatar, automatic ENS resolution. This is just perfect. So now, okay, so there's no ENS resolution because we're on like localhost, but as you can see, it's kind of gives me just a better view over here with my connected address. And then the token ID, I think I need to like wrap this in like a something, an integer. Cool, because it resolves like big numbers, so the big number format doesn't match, so you need to like convert it to a number format. But okay, cool. So basically, we directly use the Scaffold-ETH address component. We now have this here, and we want to have like the mint button working because right now it does nothing. But what we were able to do is we added a new smart contract. Now we have like a new page which displays the details of that smart contract. Its token ID here, NFT mint here, and then the mint button. What it should do, it should mint an NFT, and then once it does, like you'll automatically see the ID increase. And I have 5 minutes left, but it should be okay. So I'm going over here to the Scaffold-ETH docs again. I have too many tabs open. and then interacting with your smart contract. I came back here because we were using the read hook before. Now we need a write hook because basically we're going to make change, like we're going to like mint a new token. So we need to like interact with our smart contract. So a read is not enough at that point. And it's quite simple to like use the use scaffold write contract hook. I'm going to directly copy, like this is, you need to define this up here. Quite similar the way we did like the use scaffold read contract. It's just going to be a use scaffold write contract. We need to import this. Let's do that. And then it's going to be like NFT contract because this is the new contract which I'm working with. OK, so I basically pulled in like a write hook. And now I want my mint button. And all I do is it gives you like an example usage over here. So I'm going to copy this, and then we'll just edit it. The mint button, I think we can just, OK, I'm going to delete this mint button. The function name is it mint2? The function is called mint2, and it takes an address. So I'm not going to forget to add the address. The function name is mint2. The args are going to be the address, and we don't need to pass any value. But if you say, you know, like mint for 1 ETH, you can add that. Probably want to add that to your front end too. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to like for now like actually just pass in the connected address. But I can just do like this. This should be fine. Oh, I don't need these, maybe. OK, I think this should work. So basically what we did is we pulled the write contract hook. We added like a new button. And the button is called, well, not set greeting, but let's call this mint here. And then I don't want it at the end. And then, yeah, this should work. Let's see. So when you mint here, basically, it should increment the token ID because we minted a new token. And then you should be able to see that. Transaction completed. So the token ID is now incremented because we were able to mint an NFT. Now, of course, you probably want to show like a receipt over here of how many NFTs left. But because I have only 2 minutes left, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly modify our smart contract to have like a total supply and display that on the web page. I think we should have enough time for that. uint, all I'm doing is like a new uint. Like let's call this max supply. Let's say 10. 10 is enough. And then this should like have a new require. OK. So I edited my smart contract because by default it doesn't have a max cap right now. And I want only 10 NFTs to be minted. I also then want to display this on my front end too. So I'm going to do that. But let's first redeploy our smart contract to make sure that, or I think it's OK. We didn't do much changes. But now we have a max supply. But I'll just redeploy because then it will give me an error when I try to add max supply is not there. OK, so I quickly edited my smart contract. I now have a max supply, and I want to display that detail on my front end. So then you can kind of have like a counter, which is a bit more fun. I'm going to use the read hook because it's just like a value which we read, so you don't need the right one. And this is called max supply. And then I'm going to call this max supply. And then what do we do over here? The token ID. Instead of, we don't need the token ID. Let's say supply, like left, NFTs left. Well, NFTs left is max supply minus the ones we've minted. So I'm going to do that minus let me first display max supply, and then we'll do the subtraction count. Do we do the max supply wrong? But this is the max supply. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I should have this, right? The max supply. Yeah, OK. Perfect. 30 seconds left, but this should work. OK, so now we have 10, and then we mint. Well, the max supply is still 10. But what we can do is we can quickly add like a minus. Ooh. I'm not sure I can do the operation here. Do I need to do like it here? OK, my eyes are not working now. Oh, OK, got it. I'm finished.
OK? OK.
It's working.
Woo, Adam. Yeah.
We can show that too. I actually have 10 more seconds left.
You did it. It was great. You want to hang out up here?
Oh, yeah, if you have any questions.
Next is a Q&A, and you can shoot this QR code and send questions to the board. But also, like, you can just yeet them out, and we'll hear you and answer the questions too. Also, there's like 10 BuidlGuidlers all over here with these things on. You can just come talk to us, and we can answer a lot of questions. For instance, if you're bringing up Scaffold-ETH and you have some like debugging error or something, just bring it over here to these guys, and they can help out. But yes, if you have any open questions, there is a QR code. Also, you'll notice that if you go through Speedrun Ethereum, within each one of the challenges, there's a Telegram group. And in that Telegram group, we're sitting there listening to you. So if you have any questions, we're there and we can help. So questions, maybe hands, maybe you shoot the QR, very open here. I think we'll do like 10 minutes of questions, and then we will start the CTF.
We can have
Thanks.
questions directly too,
Hearts,
right?
hearts, hearts. Any resources for Python maximalists? So that's going to be different. You're probably going to want to use Viper, which is a different language. Solidity is more like TypeScripty, right? So if you are a Python maximalist, I would go look at Viper, and I'd specifically look at Patrick Collins' work. He does a lot of Viper work, and he's a really, really good teacher and a really good DevRel. So look up Patrick Collins and Viper if you are a Python maximalist.
Hi, question.
Yes, sir. Where are you?
Right here.
Oh, there we go.
So you use Daisy UI on the front end. How hard would it be to use something else like ShadCN instead? Or would we lose some? What would we lose and what would we gain?
Nothing. You could just bring in that other. It's sort of like we provide the scaffolding, and it's kind of a pretty opinionated scaffolding, but you can carve out our stuff and put in your stuff. You can try different things. Can anybody over on the Scaffold-ETH team, do you guys know anything about putting ShadCDN into Scaffold-ETH? Has that been something we've talked about? Oh, he's busy. Do you know, Shiv, if we're thinking about putting ShadCDN into Scaffold-ETH, or how hard it would be to use ShadCDN?
Like you could bring it. Yeah, like you could, actually it's compatible, so like you could install ShadCN and start using it. So yeah.
So it seems like a thing. You might have to carve out some Daisy and put in some Shad, but it seems like
I mean, both works directly.
Yeah, I think the one.
What you should do is make an extension
Yeah.
that if you make a Scaffold-ETH extension that uses ShadCDN, and then we can cross-promote it between the two of us. That could be cool.
That was the next question. Because
Looks like some nerds are arriving for the CTF. That is a good thing to see. I love to see some nerds coming in with some backpacks. Think about doing some hacking. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, great question.
Yeah, there were already components like the account display. I would lose those. I'd have to rewrite those myself with ShadCN.
I think so.
Okay.
No, those aren't. Yeah, you might have to rewrite those for ShadCDN. Yeah. Darn it. Yeah.
Cool.
But do that and make it open source and let us cross-promote it with you. So people who like ShadCDN could go use those.
So what would you do? Would you fork it, create a branch, and then contribute it?
There's a really good video by Hunter, I think he's here somewhere, on how to build extensions. I think the first thing I would do is I would just fork Scaffold-ETH and make it work, and then I'd take the work that I put into that and put it into a Scaffold-ETH extension. And there's a video that kind of takes you through how to make an extension, and then it stays state of the art. So you could use Scaffold-ETH plus whatever extension you've added, and we can kind of cross-promote it and show it off to people.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you. We got a hand here. Oh, you got him. Go ahead. Yep.
So we have used Hardhat and the Foundry, right? So is there any advantage or limitations between these two?
Yes, so the two are different. They're great for, you said Hardhat and Foundry, right? Just to make sure. Okay, so Hardhat is a little bit older. It's a little bit slower. It's more TypeScript tests, but they're starting to carve things out and act more like Foundry. Foundry is faster, it's written in Rust, and I think the key thing there is you're using Solidity to write your tests, whereas with Foundry you were using TypeScript to write your tests. And so as a Solidity developer, writing those tests in native Solidity just makes a lot more sense and it's a lot smoother. However, if you're an app developer, you want that TypeScript because you want to copy and paste it into your front end. So having Hardhat is also kind of good for the front end folks too. So the answer is Foundry is the state-of-the-art best tool. Hardhat is a really good tool, and before Hardhat we had Truffle and it was awful. Sorry to the Truffle guys, it was fine and did what it needed to do. Also, Hardhat is catching up. They're starting to use Revum, which is the technology, the chain underneath Foundry. They're starting to rewrite some stuff in Rust. I would say that their deployment process is a little smoother, but I kind of just randomly pick them depending on, like if I'm going to do a lot of like yarn forks, I'll usually use Foundry, but kind of sometimes I default back to Hardhat just because I'm used to it. But the difference is kind of the testing in Solidity versus testing in TypeScript, I think, is the key thing, and Foundry's a little faster still.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, there's one over here somewhere. There we go. Yeah.
What's up with the BuidlGuidl Ethereum node? Is it like a normal node? Or
yeah, so you can go to client.buildguild.com or client.BuidlGuidl, and what it is it's a process that runs that spins up Reth and Lighthouse in the same node. And then there's even like this opt-in that you can do where you can opt into our distributed RPC network. And you start earning some credits that have no value. It's just numbers in a database. But you earn credits for serving RPC requests to our apps. So we build a bunch of apps on chain, and we use the BuidlGuidl RPC, and it's served by this sort of distributed set of nodes. And we pay them back in credits, but that's not a real thing yet, and it doesn't have any financial value.
Not yet.
Right. No, not ever, not ever. But it's just an easy way. It's like a one-line command. You can run a one-line command, and it brings up a whole cool Ethereum node. But you'll need like a couple terabytes of space, right? 1.2 or 2? Just straight up 2? Okay. And Spencer's the man to talk to about that. He wrote that software. Good question. Did that answer your question? I think it did, right?
How can I run the nodes?
You just go to client.buildguild.com and copy paste that command into your terminal, and it'll run.
Okay.
Wait, is that a Windows machine though? What is that? Linux?
No, macOS.
It's a Mac?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like a one-line command, copy the one-line command into your terminal, and you'll have a node running. The thing is, it'll just take up a lot of space.
Okay, I have one more question.
Okay.
How do you pronounce the name of the...
BuidlGuild? I just say BuidlGuild, but definitely it is BuidlGuidl, right? It's misspelled on purpose, and it's like the HODL meme, right? The HODL meme and then the Biddle meme. So yes, it is Biddle. Oh, look at these nerds coming in for the CTF. Yes. We're going to set this off. This is going to be great. We might need more chairs. Yeah, I just say BuidlGuild, but it is spelled BuidlGuidl, but I don't know. Do we have more questions here? Do you guys have scaffolds for other frameworks like Angular? No, it is just React. I think someone made a Svelte. I think Byte at a time made Scaffold Svelte. If you go to BuidlGuild, like BuidlGuidl.com, you can go to the app and you can look through all our builds. And within those builds, you could search for Svelte, but I don't think there's one for Angular. Nerds, yes. Why is there not enough? What was that top one? Soccer? Oh, sockets. Where are there no, do we, like plugins back there, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, we didn't think we were gonna have this many people, I think. We'll have to figure something out. Maybe some other people will clear out before the CTF starts. Please don't, please stay, please hack. But if we need more outlets, we'll have to figure it out. We'll maybe call them in or something. But yeah, there are not a lot of power outlets in here. That might be tough. I'm not sure what we can do about that, but we'll talk to them. Vue.js, no, it's all React. How hardcore of a dev do you have to be to participate in the CTF? Okay, that's great. We will answer that question in just a second, but the TLDR is Even the worst dev can figure out the first couple levels, but even the best dev in here is going to have a hard time with the last couple levels. So you're going to have a very easy entry into the CTF, but it's going to get very hard toward the end, I think. Building a multi-user
Without a
communication
laptop.
dApp, Scaffold-ETH is easy? Maybe. I mean, that sounds complicated, but maybe.
35 seconds.
Okay, we got 30 seconds, and then we're going to switch to the CTF, which means I need to grab my laptop.
Can
Can you do the CTF without a laptop? I think you're
No.
going to need a laptop.
Yeah, that might be a bit hard.
Is this my machine? Okay. Okay. Got 10 seconds left. You want to take
Yeah,
that?
I got it.
Any last questions? Come on in, get ready for the CTF. There's also a POAP. Collect the POAP. If you were here, collect it. Okay.
Oh my God.
If we could bring up my
Was it nice?
screen here.
Was it good? How can I
Ooh, that's not me. And I think we're actually shutting off the live stream, right? I don't think we're live anymore, or are we still live? We're still live? Oh, I hold it? Hold the mic or hold? Oh, this is being weird? Okay. Oh, hey, here's my BuidlGuidl client right here. See it running? So it's syncing still, but you can see disk activity, network activity, CPU load. You can see the lighthouse.